Hey, don't listen to me, but the day I finally got out of debt wasn't the day I paid it off. It was the day I stopped letting my debt control me. Because the truth is, most people don't stay stuck because of how much they owe. They stay stuck because of how they think about it. And once I fixed that, everything else got a whole lot easier. When I was buried in debt, it wasn't even the numbers that stressed me out. It was the mental prison. Every month felt like punishment. I'd open my statements, feel guilty, overwhelmed, and then just powerless. So I tried everything: budgeting apps, no spend months, cutting every joy, trying to out hustle it. And honestly, it made me more stressed, more exhausted, and somehow even more stuck. The turning point came when I realized my debt problem wasn't really a debt problem. It was a control problem. My debt controlled my decisions, my emotions, my identity, everything. And once I learned to control myself instead of the debt, paying it down became the easy part. That's where this simple system came from. And it's the only thing that actually worked for me. Part 1. The mindset shift, removing shame. The first step, and honestly, the most important one, was removing shame. I know it sounds soft, it sounds like mindset fluff, but here's the truth. Debt is already heavy enough on its own. You don't need to pile guilt and embarrassment on top of it. That's exactly what I was doing, and it just made everything worse. Because shame leads to fear, fear leads to panic, and panic leads to bad decisions, quick fixes, emotional spending, ignoring bills, hiding from statements. That cycle creates even more debt. People don't spiral financially because they're stupid. They spiral because they're ashamed. The day I stopped seeing debt as a personal failure, everything shifted. Here's what I finally realized. Debt is normal. Most people have it. Mortgages, car loans, student loans, emergencies. Even if your debt came from something less noble, an impulse, a mistake, a rough patch, you're still human, living in a world where everything costs more than it should. Even entire countries are buried in debt. Canada, the US, the UK, Australia, trillions of dollars. You think the people running those countries are lying awake at night panicking? Not a chance. So why was I losing sleep? And then I had this weird thought that changed everything. My debt actually helped a lot of people. It helped me solve something I couldn't handle at the time. It helped banks keep lending so young families could buy homes. It helped employees at those banks keep their jobs and feed their families. Money circulates. Every payment you've ever made, even just a minimum payment, helps someone else's life move forward. When that hit me, the shame disappeared. I wasn't a failure. I was part of a system that actually functions because people participate in it. Once that shame lifted, I finally had space to think clearly, to see solutions instead of just guilt. Part 2. A real plan is as good as the debt being gone. Once I let go of shame, the next step was building an actual plan, a real one. Not a panic plan, not a punish myself plan, not one of those unrealistic 12-month challenges that just make you hate your life halfway through. A calm, realistic plan. Nobody talks about this enough. A real payoff plan gives you the same emotional relief as having the debt gone. Because when you have a clear, predictable, long-term plan, even if it takes 5 or 10 years, the stress melts away. You're not waiting to be free someday. You start feeling free now. Think about a mortgage. Most people don't wake up every morning angry that they owe money on their house. They just treat it like part of life, infrastructure, something stable. Debt can be the same. If you already got the benefit, a home, a car, an education, a safety net during an emergency, then the payments aren't punishment. They're just responsibility. And responsibility is powerful. The real suffering starts when you tell yourself, I shouldn't have to pay this, or this isn't fair, or I'm behind. That mindset takes away your control. When you shift to ownership, this is mine, I'm handling it, I've got a plan, you take that control back. You can't change the past, but you can own the present. And the moment you do, your future starts opening up again. I remember feeling this lightness come over me. The numbers hadn't changed, but the emotional weight had. And that's when things started to move. Part 3. Start learning and building your toolkit. Once I stopped reacting emotionally, I finally had space to learn. And this part was huge, because learning while calm hits differently. You're not operating from fear anymore, you're operating from curiosity. I started small. I learned what actually affects your credit score and what doesn't. I learned how debt consolidation really works. When it helps, when it hurts. I learned that sometimes you can borrow at a lower rate to pay off higher interest debt and save yourself thousands. That's called arbitrage, And nobody had ever explained it that way before. I learned that debt forgiveness exists, but you have to understand the legitimate versions, not the scammy ones. I learned how to use balance transfers, lines of credit, personal loans, even insurance-based products as tools, not traps. As I picked up that knowledge, I started experimenting safely. I moved credit card debt to a line of credit to lower interest. Later, I got a personal loan that turned messy revolving balances into a clean, structured payment. And funny enough, my credit score went up, even though technically I had more total debt. Because lenders care more about structure than about raw numbers, my line of credit reopened. My cash flow got clearer. I could actually breathe. That's when I realized something I'll never forget. Debt doesn't get easier, you get smarter. And the smarter you get, the calmer you get. And the calmer you get, the better your decisions become. That's the real compounding effect nobody talks about. Part 4. Focus on growth. Outstart, outgrow, outpace. Here's the part that surprised me the most. You can't shrink your way to freedom. There's only so much you can cut, save, or sacrifice before you start shrinking yourself. But there's no ceiling on how much you can grow. The first time I made a small win investing, it was like $200. It wasn't the money that changed me, it was the feeling. It was the first time in years I felt forward momentum instead of guilt. That feeling was addictive, but in a good way. When your income grows, your skills grow, your confidence grows, the weight of your debt shrinks in comparison. You stop obsessing over what's owed and start paying attention to what's possible. Growth makes you feel alive. Shrinking makes you feel like you're disappearing. Most people think the path out of debt is about restriction, cutting everything until it hurts. But you can't starve your way to abundance. You don't have to beat debt. You can simply outgrow it. And that's what finally gave me peace. Part 5. Emotional control and the real question. The last piece, the glue that holds it all together, is emotional control. Debt stirs up every emotion you can think of. Shame, fear, panic, frustration, avoidance. And those emotions drive terrible financial decisions. Willpower doesn't save you. Discipline doesn't save you. Trying harder doesn't save you. Calm does. I stopped asking, how fast can I pay this off? And started asking, how calmly and consistently can I manage this? That single question changed everything. Because a calm person with debt will outperform a panicked person with no debt every time. And once the debt stops controlling your emotions, you get to face the real question. Which path to wealth actually fits me? That's when your life starts again. Beating debt isn't about crushing a number. It's about breaking the mindset that keeps you chained to it. Once I stopped letting the debt control me, I realized the real goal wasn't, how do I get rid of this? It was, what kind of wealth path actually fits me? The moment I stopped trying to win the debt game and started building the life game, everything got easier. If this helped, hit subscribe. I make videos for people who want financial freedom without burning themselves out or hustling into an early grave. And tell me in the comments, where are you in your debt journey? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear today.